The BS Report with Bill Simmons. Bill Simmons is brought to you by Lamisil AT Gel. It's proven to relieve the burn of athlete's foot between the toes. Once a day, 1 week, and you're done.
First of all,
This is the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
it might be cool, I don't know. And if it's not, I don't care.
BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Bill Simmons works for ESPN. He's also named the Sports Guy, and he writes a comical sports column. He must be a popular dude.
The BS Report.
It's got a real dirty sound, like a rusty steak knife cutting through a well-aged steak.
Now.
Here's Bill Simmons.
Welcome to the BS Report. Coming up here on the NCAA tournament for 2008, when you think of the tournament, a couple things come to mind. March Madness, the brackets, office pools, underdogs, upsets. And now I think Gus Johnson. I think Gus is in the mix, so we would have been remiss if we didn't have him on the BS Report. Let's go to him right now. He's in Denver preparing for Thursday's regional games. Gus, how you doing?
Hey, Dollar Bill, what's going on, man?
So you're in Denver.
Denver, Colorado, the Rocky Mountain area.
And you're doing 4 games.
4 games
look.
tomorrow. Pardon me?
I could hear the sounds of basketball behind you.
Oh, yeah, we're at the practices. The great thing about the NCAA is the first big practice day, which is today, for a Thursday, Saturday site. We get an opportunity to watch 8 practices.
Yeah.
The first practice is starting right now. Started at noon Mountain Time here in Denver, and I'm watching Temple. And they are on the court. We've got the SID right next to me from Temple. And his name is Larry, and eventually we'll get some notes and some anecdotes and some opportunities to see, to get some real good information on them and how they played this year. So today's a great day, maybe the second best day in college basketball, because we're going to sit here and watch 8 practices today, and then tomorrow we're going to call 4 games and have a lot of fun.
Well, this is your time of year. What did you do to get ready for the tournament? Like, do you just go away? Do you just fuel up? Do you go to some station and drink like tons of caffeine to get yourself ready? What do you do?
Well, you know what? I found out where I was going Sunday night, and after I found out where I was going, then on Monday I took the day off, just so I can get my head together, read the papers, and get an idea of what's going on nationally with the tournament, who's where, and all that kind of stuff. And then yesterday I flew in and went and saw my producer, talked to him. He gave me direction on what he wanted me to think about and pay attention to. And then after that, I got in my room and I stayed up till about 3 a.m. putting my boards together.
Nice.
And, yeah, it's a lot of fun though. I mean, I don't have anything else to do. I wouldn't want to do anything else. So
well, wait a second though. You got 4 games tomorrow. From an excitement standpoint, do you pace yourself?
No, you never pace yourself.
So you just had the energy for the 4 games.
Yeah, for some reason, I've always been just pumped up and excited about it, and every game is its own individual game for me, so I just go out there and I call every game like it's the first game. I like it like that. I try to give all the energy that I can. We get a little break after the first 2 games.
Yeah.
And so by the last game, you are a little bit tired, but if the game is good, usually the last game of the night is the best game.
Right.
So your adrenaline normally gets going because that last game, it's the end, and it's most likely the best game, so it'll be fun.
I like when you get tired and punchy. That's when I like Gus Johnson at his best. A little tired, a little punchy, a little excited.
All right.
Now, normally when you go to the tournament, for whatever reason, you luck out and you end up getting one of the most exciting games. Don't you agree?
That's not pressure, Bill. You're killing me on that. Everybody around the country is killing me. Well, Gus is going to have I can't guarantee that. I don't, even though I do pray to the basketball gods, I can't guarantee that at all, Billy. But, it is a lot of fun. I have been really fortunate to get some great games during my time.
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of them are on YouTube now. Now, do you feel any additional pressure because last year they only let you do the first 4 days and the internet rallied behind you, and now you're basically going to get to do the first 2 weeks, right?
Yeah. I used to do the first 2 weeks, every year.
I know.
Last year. So I don't feel any pressure at all. I mean, this is what I do. I like my job. I'm good at it. I have a lot of people that support me and like the way I call the games, and I like the way I call the games. So I'm going to go out here and have just as much fun as I normally do. To me, this is all fun. This is all bonus coverage for me, man. Just to have an opportunity to work in the NCAAs in general as a sportscaster. It's our dream come true as sportscasters. So, you know I don't feel any pressure. Yeah.
I'm putting the pressure on you. I think this is your year. I'm putting the pressure on you. This is it. We expect big things from you this year. I want all good games. I want great announcing. I want it all from Gus Johnson.
Okay. You got it, Bill. Whatever you want, Bill.
Plus, you have a lot of built-up excitement from this terrible Knicks season that you had to watch.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Oh, man, you're killing me. I knew you were going to kill me on that. I started to dodge your phone call.
Oh, come on.
I do have. What do you want to talk about? The built-up excitement of the Knicks?
No. I'm saying you personally have a bunch of excitement that's been building up in you because you've been sitting through these terrible Knicks games week after week after week, and you've been dying to get to college basketball and really let loose.
Well,
these Knicks games have been depressing.
Yeah, they've been tough. It's been a real rough season. Nobody expected it to end up the way it's turned out with them. But tell you what, everything is going to be fine down the road. I don't think it's going to be like this forever. And you're right, we do have some built-up excitement. I do have some built-up excitement that I need to let loose and make sure that I have an opportunity to go somewhere to get it all out. I need to get it all out. And usually the NCAAs is the perfect place to, kind of go a little mad and crazy and just really commit to the games and get into the games.
Well, with this Knicks season, how do you see this Isaiah thing playing out? And I know he's your friend. I know it's a tough question to ask, but do you see him back in 6 months with this job?
You know what? I can't even call it. I can't even call it. Because if you look at the way things have gone, you wouldn't have expected him to last this long.
Yeah.
So obviously, he has a relationship with the people that he works with, and they have a fondness for him, as I do. But the bottom line is the team has been awful. I mean, worse than awful. So I can't tell you how things are going to pan out. I mean, I know what I read in the paper about some of the rumors about guys that may be coming in or maybe being interviewed. And, obviously the Knicks, Mr. Dolan has some decisions to make, and hopefully the right decisions are made for the organization because our fans desperately need. I mean, can you imagine what the NBA season would be like right now if the Knicks were 500 getting ready to go to the playoffs?
Yeah.
It would be awesome.
What was really sad was when LeBron came in that game, and it was really the only time this year that MSG had any kind of buzz, and it was for an opposing player. And I don't know, it just made me sad for some reason. The Knicks are one of those teams that should always be good.
Yeah, I mean, and we want them to be good. I mean, if God knows I want them to be good. And the fans of New York want them to be good. It's been a very difficult time, 7 straight losing seasons. And then what makes it very interesting is we get 7 straight losing seasons. This may be the worst season that we've seen in quite some time, but the fans keep coming to the games. We still get good houses, and they're still enthusiastic when the Knicks make a run, and you just want more for them. And I consider myself a Knicks fan. I am a Knicks fan, so we all want more, and hopefully that will be coming soon.
Is it fair to say that the Knicks have put Isaiah in the position where they're hoping that he'll resign so they don't have to pay him, and he's too stubborn to resign, and they're just kind of staring at each other and nothing's happening?
You know what? I don't know if it's that serious. Isaiah's not going to resign. That's not going to happen. He'll never quit. That's just not going to happen. I don't think that they're at that point.
So if they lost 40 straight games by 30 points or more, he still wouldn't quit?
He'd never quit. He's not a quitter like that. He won't quit. He still, in his heart, I think, feels that he can turn it around. And that's what he thinks. That's his reality. And I think that based on that, he'll never throw in the towel.
Okay. What's been the most disappointing thing about the season for you personally?
That they haven't won. I mean, I don't really think the Eastern Conference is that good. I don't think that. I thought the Knicks would be better. The most disappointing thing is that they haven't won games and that they haven't played as a team, and that They haven't shown that kind of grit that you want to see from a pro basketball team. Not only a pro basketball team, but a pro basketball team playing in New York City. So,
yeah,
I mean, it's really just a disappointing. It's been a disappointing season. You know, there were so many positive feelings heading into the season, especially after he won 32, 33 games last year. You just felt that they were turning the corner, and the total opposite happened. They really just hit the skids and were unable to get out of it.
How would you rate the chemistry of the team this season on a scale of 1 to 10?
It's awful.
-1?
Probably -1. Yeah, -1. I mean, they just don't have any. They don't have a collective vibe.
Yeah.
No leaders. It's just. I don't know. I don't even know. I've never seen anything like this before. Not in pro basketball. It's just. And these guys are good guys. They're not bad people.
Yeah.
But I think that some of them got paid too quickly. I think some of them didn't work hard. And I think that the pressure of New York City and the pressure of playing for the Knicks in this kind of situation got to a lot of guys, and instead of stepping to the forefront, they took a step backwards. And unfortunately, that's where we are right now.
At the home games, is it fair to say that the fans openly dislike this team?
No, the fans love the team. Every time they start making a run, the fans love the Knicks. It's not about the guys on the team. It's about, or the coach on the floor. It's about the logo. It's about the brand. It's the New York Knicks. These fans have grown up loving this team. This city loves this team. It's the only team in Manhattan. And this team has great tradition and great history, great players. And the fans love their team. Sometimes it doesn't matter whose names are on the back of the jersey. So when they get to go playing well, I mean, the fans in New York go crazy for these guys. And when they don't play well, which is very interesting now, when they don't play well, in the past they will be booed or the fans will really get on them. But, you know, we all understand that they're just not very good. And they don't even kill them anymore. They just sit there and watch. So, you know, I see it like that.
Maybe they're just drunk. They might just go to the games and get plowed. All right, let's talk about the Denver Regional. So we have George Mason against Notre Dame, Washington State against Winthrop, Temple against Michigan State, and Pitt against Oral Roberts. Those are the 4 matchups. Which one do you think will be the best one?
You know what? I like Michigan State Temple. I do. I think that's an even game. Temple's been playing well out of the Atlantic 10. They won their conference. Michigan State, they've played some big teams this year. State comes in with a 25-8 record. They've had some big wins. They beat Texas, BYU, Purdue, Indiana, lost a tough game earlier during the season by 5 to UCLA. And I like how they play. They're not a big three-point shooting team. They only shoot about 13 threes a game. They don't turn it over a lot. They only turn it over 13 times a game. And they got guards that can penetrate, get guys involved. I like Neitzel. He's a nifty little player. So I think the Temple Michigan State game is going to be one that will be pretty interesting to watch.
Well, I think it's interesting that you're calling 2 5-12 games and 2 4-13 games, right?
Yes.
And those are always the games that end up 1 or 2 of the underdogs winning. At least, there's always, at least 1 or 2 12 or 13 seeds coming out. So that means you might be getting excited tomorrow.
Well, you know what? The bosses at CBS are fully aware of your edict. So they wanted to make sure that I get some good games because Bill Simmons said that he expects a lot out of me. He expects exciting games and he expects good broadcasting, blah, blah, blah. So we want to make sure that we do what we're told at CBS by the legendary dollar bill.
Listen, my expectations have never been higher for you. I mean, they are sky high. It's the complete opposite of how the Knicks fans feel about the Knicks. Who is your partner this year?
It's going to be Lenny Elmore.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Have you worked with him before?
Yeah, I was working with Elmo for maybe 3 straight years prior to last year when I was switched off with Dan Bonner.
I like that you call him Elmo.
Yeah, that's his nickname. We call him Elmo.
He doesn't seem like an Elmo. He just seems like a Len.
That's or Lenny. He's a Brooklyn guy, so we could call him Lenny. But I think Elmo is a good name for him too. It kind of softens him up a little bit.
Well, the last game you're doing, the game where you'll hopefully be a little punchy, is Notre Dame George Mason. Tomorrow night, 9:40 on CBS. I'll say Thursday because people might be listening on Thursday. That game has a little upset potential, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Notre Dame, a team that can really shoot the ball well, a team that's 24-7. They've impressed a lot of people this year. And you remember George Mason a couple of years ago advanced all the way to the Final Four under Coach Larinaga, beating Michigan State, North Carolina, Connecticut. So they have some players on this team, 23-10 out of the Colonial Athletic Association, and a couple of guys returned from that 2016. Will Thomas averages 15, and Florian Campbell averages 15 points as well. So I think that George Mason knows that they can win games. They know that they can pull upsets. Notre Dame will be well aware of it, especially after losing to Winthrop in the first round last year. So that should be one that'll be fun to watch.
As part of your preparation, did you try to learn as much as you could about George Mason, the United States Patriot?
You know what? The first tournament I did, when they went to the Final Four, I was trying to learn all that minutia about George Mason, where it is, why it was established, who George Mason was. I've forgotten about all that stuff now. But I'm sure that if they make a little run, I'll definitely try to ratchet up my minutia so I can the all-knowing sportscaster here in Denver.
Well, he's considered to be one of the fathers of the Bill of Rights. I think you got to drop that on Len. He'll be impressed. He also wrote the Virginia Declaration of Rights.
Oh, okay.
He favored the abolition of the slave trade. You got to drop all this stuff on Len.
I got to drop all that down in the middle of a basketball game.
He'll be so impressed. Doesn't Len have a law degree?
Well, you know what? Len may know all that stuff. I'll just dish it off to him, That's part of being a point guard.
Yeah, Len's one of the smartest analysts ever, isn't he?
Yeah, he went to Harvard. He went to Harvard. Got a law degree from Harvard. So
don't be afraid to outshine him with some of this intellectual stuff. He's not used to getting upstaged.
Bill, I know my role, man. I'm just a nickel dime guy from the Motor City. I'm going to make sure that I stay at my place.
Hey, do you know what regional final you're going to do?
No, we don't know that. We'll find that out on Sunday after the field is set for the regionals, and then we'll find out where we're going on Sunday evening.
All right. Two predictions from you. First, give me your NBA prediction for how the season's going to play out.
Boston looked good last night, didn't they?
They really did look good. They really did.
I'm trying not to like Boston as a longtime Pistons fan, but I can't. I can't help it. I think that my prediction, I think the Celtics, they won a big game on the road last night, and they played so well. They played so hard. They got great leadership. And I like those acquisitions. I like Sam Cassell. I really like Sam Cassell on that team.
Me too.
So I like Boston in the East, although I think that the best player in the East, which is LeBron James, is going to shine in the playoffs, as he did last year. I mean, if he keeps them close in the fourth quarter, he can win the game for himself single-handedly. So, I think Boston is going to have trouble with LeBron. I don't think the Pistons are done yet, but from what I'm understanding, the Pistons have some problems on that team. They're not getting along with Flip.
Yeah, especially Rasheed.
Yeah, Rasheed,
Supposedly in the last Celtics-Pistons game in Boston, they had a little blowout on the bench in the second half that basically involved Rasheed just throwing a lot of swear words at Flip Saunders while everybody in that section listened. But, it doesn't sound good.
Doesn't sound good, no. So, I like those three teams in the East, even though the Pistons are kind of in one of those weird situations now, but I do think that they have championship players and they have an opportunity to gather themselves and go far.
My thing about them is that it seems like they feel like they can turn it on anytime they want, and I think the league's too good now. I don't think you can just flick the switch whenever you want.
Yeah, and I don't think they defend as well as they used to. No. And I think that's one of the problems that the players have with the scheme.
What about the West?
The West, gosh, that's crazy out there. I mean, that's so much fun to watch.
It's
you just
amazing.
never know. Gasol got hurt, so that threw a big monkey wrench into the Lakers thing.
Right.
When he hurt his ankle. I still like the Lakers. I love Kobe because he's the best player in basketball, in my opinion, because he plays both ends of the floor. I got a sneaky feeling Phoenix is starting to figure out how to play with Shaq.
I know.
They were 4-0 last week.
Yep.
I like Phoenix. I like Phoenix because Steve Nash is just such a great teammate. That's what they say about him. I mean, he can get his guys involved. He's so unselfish. And I like Phoenix in the West. Dallas has fallen off. I don't know what happened to Dallas. Houston, I don't believe. Yeah. Especially until the playoffs start. But then there's San Antonio. I mean, the Spurs are so boring to me that I like them. I mean, they just, I hate the Spurs because they're boring, but they're such a good basketball. That Ginobili is just, I mean, he's so efficient. He'll come off the bench and give you 20 points in 20 minutes, 5 rebounds, 4 or 5 assists, and just play hard. So if I had to say, I'd probably say the Lakers, San Antonio, and Phoenix. Those are my top 3 teams out west right now.
Interesting. Barkley made a really good point. Whoever comes out of the West is going to have to be one of the top 4 teams because if you're not in the top 4, you're basically going to have to win 3 Game 7s on the road to get to the finals. And in this particular conference, that's probably not going to happen. So It's so hard to predict who's going to come out when we don't know who the top 4 is. But I'm with you. I actually, the one team you didn't mention that I think everybody's sleeping on is Utah, because if they get the number 1 seed, which isn't, inconceivable, they're almost unbeatable at home.
And but I don't like their bench. I don't think they got a good enough bench. The bench is kind of shaky. Darren Williams is obviously just an awesome basketball player, as well as Boozer, Karolinko working this year with Jeff Hornacek. He's gotten so much better, and he's a hybrid type player. But I just don't like their bench. I don't think that in 7-game series it'll be hard to adjust to those guys coming off the bench. Those guys got to come out and make sure they don't lose the lead, and I don't think that's going to happen.
But you like Phoenix's bench?
I just like Phoenix. I like Shaq. I like Nash. I like Stoudemire. I think that they have just a really nice chemistry. Diaw, I like Diaw as well. I just think they have a nice chemistry, and their philosophy heading into the playoffs, when you know that the game is going to slow down and it's going to become a half-court game, and now that Shaq is not only in shape, but he's been, put into the system, and he really understands the system now, and they're playing better. That's why I think they're going to be a formidable team during the postseason.
Do you have an MVP pick?
Kobe Bryant.
Oh, stop it.
Kobe
this is
Bryant.
Ridiculous.
I know you're a big. I agree. I know you're big. Yeah, you know what? I didn't even talk about the Hornets, but I saw them last week. The Hornets are a good team. Chris Paul, obviously terrific, but
I think Chris Paul, especially after what's happened the last 3 weeks, I think Chris Paul is clearly the MVP right now. And the only reason he's not going to win it is because of the Los Angeles New Orleans thing. I mean, that's right. He's playing point guard better than anybody has ever played point guard in the history of the NBA. He really is.
You know what? I can't argue with him. I mean, I saw him last week, and we were commenting. He's got so many gears.
Yeah.
That it's almost like he could play the game in a suit.
If we're going to give Nash 2 straight MVPs when he can't play defense, and here's Chris Paul who's playing better than him statistically, who's having just as much of an impact on a team that is one of the top Western teams, and on top of it is one of the best defensive players in the league. How does he not win the MVP?
Well, Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant is playing great basketball. Kobe Bryant has never won an MVP.
That's not a reason, though. You can't think that way.
Well, yeah, but people are going to think that. It's human nature.
Yeah, he should have won 2 years ago.
If I vote, I'm going to think, Chris Paul's young. Kobe's never won an MVP. I'm going to vote for him. I'm going to vote for Kobe. I'm telling you, that's how people think. I mean, they email us the ballots, and we vote. Do you vote?
No, they don't give me a vote because they have some. There's 139 voters, but somehow I'm not one of them.
That's okay.
Give me your NCAA picks while I have you.
I know that's hard to I like all the top seeds this year. I like UCLA to win it all.
I had them too.
Final Fours. Yeah, I like UCLA to win it all. That Kevin Love is a special player.
I like
Collison knows how to take over the game. Yeah. Russell Westbrook is a slasher and burner. He might be the most talented pro prospect they have on that team. They got a 3-point bomber in Chip, but he's got to play better. He doesn't look aggressive sometimes, and he's so inconsistent. But if he can catch a vibe and get hot, I think UCLA is a team that can win it all, especially because of the way they play defense. But then there's North Carolina, and if Lawson can, really catch his rhythm, Tyler Hansbrough is just, I've never seen a college player work as hard as him. I've never seen a college player with the kind of motor that he has. When they call him Psycho T, that's no joke. I mean, he is really a guy that's all about winning.
Yeah.
I remember when we went to see him play Virginia Tech this year, we got to practice an hour before it was supposed to start. Tyler Hansbrough was out there shooting jump shots and working on his game. We left the hour after. Tyler Hansbrough was still on the floor working on his game. He was the first to get there and the last to leave, and you don't see that too often today in sports. So yeah. I like North Carolina. I like I said, all the top seeds. I think Duke. I got a funny feeling about Duke. Duke plays like the Suns. I mean, you got 4 or 5 guys that can shoot the ball from the perimeter consistently. Ball moves around. Coach K, man, he's able to make adjustments and play with the hand that's dealt to him, and I think that's a credit to his flexibility and his he can change. He has no problems changing if he has to. So I like Duke. I don't believe Memphis, not at 59% from the free throw line, and they also have rebounding problems at times during the season. So I don't believe Memphis. I think they're going to get bumped when they play a good team. I don't know a lot about Kansas, although I've seen them once or twice. Who else? So off the top of my head, that's what I'm thinking right now. But I'm sure some other teams will surprise you.
We had the same championship pick, which is a bad sign for UCLA fans. Hey, what was the best game you did this year?
I had a couple of good ones. I had Kentucky and Vandy.
Yeah.
Which was a really great game at Kentucky.
Georgetown Marquette, right?
Georgetown Marquette was a really good game. The game went into overtime, and Georgetown managed to win that game. So I guess off the top of my head, those were the best two that I had, Georgetown Marquette and Kentucky Vandy. And watch Vandy. Vandy's an interesting team because what I like in the NCAA is I like teams that have good guards that can handle the ball in space under pressure, can knock down perimeter jump shots, and they have a guy, a center that can not only rebound and give you putbacks or, stuff in tight, but can also step out and hit a 12-foot jump shot. And they got an Australian kid, freshman, I forget his name, Oglesby or something like that. That's a really, really talented dude, 6'11" or 7-foot center there for Vandy. So I like that team, and I like how they're coached. So watch Vandy, and that Shane Foster, he's got in the gym range. He can shoot it from anywhere. He can give you numbers when you need them. So Vandy's an interesting team to watch in the NCAA.
There's some interesting shooters in this tournament. Eric Gordon and Curry and Davidson. There's some guys who have some nice strokes
that can really shoot the basketball.
Yeah.
And it's going to be fun. I mean, it's Notre Dame. This McElharney, he can really shoot the ball for Notre Dame. So you're absolutely right. There are a number of guys out there that can really stroke it this year.
All right, last question. Do you have a little catchphrase you're going to spring on us this year or no?
Yeah, I do, but I'm not going to give it to you now. You got to pay for that, though.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it.
I can't give you all my good stuff. I mean, you got to watch.
All right. Well,
all right, man.
I'm very excited for tomorrow, and most of all, I'm excited to have you for 2 weeks instead of one. The King of March Madness, Gus Johnson, thank you for joining us.
Hey, man, thank you for having me, and Billy, thank you for you and your fans for putting the buzz out there to get me my job back. I really appreciate it.
It was our pleasure.
Awfulannouncing.com, and I really appreciate it, man. Thanks.
No problem. Good luck this week.
Okay, Bill. I'll talk to you soon.
Take care. All right, before we go, I wanted to call my buddy House at work. He is the master of the office pool. He's won more office pools for March Madness than every other friend I have combined. So let's call him and see what his picks are.
It's Joe House.
What's happening?
What is happening?
You're on the podcast. You're following the great Gus Johnson.
Podcast? Well, after Gus Johnson?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with myself.
I figured.
That's an impossible act to follow.
He's got 4 games tomorrow, and he said he's he's all rested, and he's got a lot of pent-up energy from the disappointing Knicks season he had to announce. So really anything's capable this weekend for him.
That's absolutely true. He's not in Washington, D.C., is he?
No, he's in Denver.
That's good, because I would stalk him.
Well, they gave him, Denver has 2 4-13 games and 2 5-12 games tomorrow. So they sent Gus to that region.
That's exciting.
Yeah. So, and those are always the ones that, at least you'll have like 1 or 2 upsets. So that'd be pretty good. We're calling you because of all my friends, you're the only one I know who's consistently won or finished in the top 3 of illegal office pools.
Maybe. Sure.
That may or may not have had prizes, but,
right.
So I felt like I'd be remiss if I didn't call you to see who you were thinking about. Are you on the UCLA bandwagon along with me and Gus and half the country?
Maybe. And before we get to that, you are remiss because this year I'm not having any Oinkster in March.
Yeah, I know.
And that's disappointing to me.
Yeah, we did the running diary the last 2 years, and this year we moved houses, and the man cave just did not get finished in time.
Well,
I was going to fly back to do it from New York, and I had this ear infection. I'm not allowed to fly.
I know, and I know you would make any sacrifice. No sacrifice is too small, but I'm just saying from my own selfish point of view, depriving me of Pig is a big deal.
I know. And believe me, I've battled with a lot of guilt about it, but I'm actually going tomorrow. I'm going to Anaheim for all 4 games.
That's excellent. I've been sort of figuring whether or not I'm going to go down here to the Washington games or not. It's that tough call of, I'd like to sit in a place where I can watch all 8 games that are going on at any one point in time.
What was it, 6 years ago when we were at the 2002
That's right.
round 1, and we were in, what was it, Howard University?
What do you mean?
We were sitting in the same section.
Oh, yeah, we sat, no.
Not Howard University.
Not
what
Howard.
Was it?
But right, it was a historically black college.
Yeah.
And it was excellent.
Rambling? No. It was somebody from that ilk. And, and I've frankly never seen you more excited in my life.
Well, the band and the cheerleaders were exciting.
And they had special cheers that neither of us had ever heard going to a Irish Catholic college, and that played in the Patriot League. So that they had some cheers and some chants that were just off the charts. We loved it.
Off the charts, and I certainly loved it. That's exactly right.
If you had to do it over again, would you have gone to a historically black college?
I would have given it a lot more thought, especially after all this black magic stuff.
Yeah,
I've been enjoying the black magic.
Yeah, it was good.
It's very well done.
What was your favorite part?
I don't know. It's tough to say.
How about Cleo Hill?
Yeah, right. See, that's the thing. Every one of these sort of names and the little stories behind the guy feels like unearthing a treasure that I've been deprived of as a basketball fan my whole life. And the stories are just unbelievable. The Cleo Hill story, out of the league.
I know. And Bob Pettit, really goes down as one of the best 15 players ever, but I think that's an asterisk for him.
Sure.
Like, he hated Cleo Hill because he was black, and he and his teammates froze him out.
And banned him, right?
Yeah, that has to be in his Hall of Fame plaque.
Stunning.
It has to go in his Hall of Fame plaque, right?
Somebody should write it up there.
How is that not worse than Pete Rose?
Seriously, that's right.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That was great. The Earl Monroe footage was just magical.
Yeah, right.
Oh, my God.
The whole thing has been really terrific, and I can't wait for you to send me the free DVD.
Yeah. Well, the one thing that I was against with the Black Magic was that it was 4 hours. I think they could have done it to 3 and then put like an hour of deleted stuff on the DVD.
Yeah, I'll confess that I missed big chunks because.
Well, 4 hours is a long time, man, especially without commercials. But
exactly.
What was weird about it though is that we know so much about the history of the black baseball players in the Negro leagues and how these guys eventually broke through and all that, but I don't think the average sports fan even knows who Earl Lloyd is.
Well, and I don't even regard myself as an average sports fan, especially when it comes to basketball.
Yeah.
And these names and stories are formative stories for the evolution of basketball, and they're not even 50 or 60 years old.
Yeah.
And I'm hearing a lot of this stuff in this kind of detail for the very first time.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It was good. It's worth watching, and if you didn't see Black Magic, I definitely Highly recommend it. What
Me
else do
too.
we need to talk? Oh, we're talking.
We're going to talk about
the.
the NCAA until I give you a hard time about Inkster.
Yeah.
It's a topsy-turvy kind of year to me. This year has the feel of the year when Arizona won. Were they like a 3 seed that year?
The Miles Simon year?
Yes. That's exactly the kind of year that it feels like to me. A year where some team that's in like a 2 seed slot or a 3 seed slot or even a 4 seed slot could just get hot and run the table, and that would be that.
Yeah.
I haven't seized yet on which team that is. I mean, I have a couple teams that I like that are, probably sleepers du jour. I like that Xavier team because I think they're sort of built for the long haul, and it's not crazy. Everybody thinks USC is good, and I'm one of those people too.
I have them in my Final Four.
Right. See, that's not like a big secret, but I like that team. I think that's a team that's sort of built for big things.
We discussed O.J. Mayo on the phone a couple days ago.
Yeah.
I've done maybe the biggest 180 I've ever done on an athlete with him. He's probably my least favorite. I even wrote this. I wrote last year he had a chance to be my least favorite player since Vince Carter.
Yep.
And the season started, and it confirmed everything I was feeling about him. And now the last month or so, he's just been growing on me every game.
You know why it's defensible though to have that 180? Because he's a kid.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what happens with kids.
Yeah.
Sometimes, it takes them a little while to sort of get it, and then it clicks, and when it clicks, holy cow, does it take off.
He is. We talked about this. Brook Lopez being the 3rd pick in the draft right now is just a complete outrage. He's only the third. To be kidding.
He's only the 3rd pick in the draft if Milwaukee's picking 3rd. They lost to the Heat yesterday, by the way. How many emails did you get about that?
You know what's sad is that there's so few Bucks fans now that it's not like the revolution can even happen because it's like a revolution of 20 people.
I thought that it was a historical win because it was the first time that I could ever think of in watching the ticker where after it showed that Miami won, the first 2 guys that they showed with stat lines were Jason Williams and Chris Quinn, 2 white guys.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's exactly. The first time that's happened probably since we had the ticker.
An all-white backcourt is the reason, apparently, that Miami beat the Bucks.
Well, and it's not like Milwaukee has injuries either. They have a healthy team losing to a team that has professed that they're going to tank the season.
That's exactly right. So
Miami,
what does that... Go ahead.
No, I was going to say Miami ushered in Tankapalooza about 3 weeks ago.
They sure did. So then my point is, what does that mean about Milwaukee's tank strategy?
No, they can't even tank.
They can't even tank.
Hey, how was the Sean Marion on the Miami Heat era for you? Do you think he's confirmed? He was always saying how he wanted his own team. How's that working out for Sean?
I don't think he cares. I think he gets the paycheck every 2 weeks, and it's working out just fine.
Have you come around on the Shaq trade? Because it's really one of the most divisive things that's ever happened in our 20-year friendship. I don't think we've ever disagreed on anything more vehemently than the Shaq trade.
I have not come around.
He had a 15-16 last night.
Congratulations.
They're 4-0. Last 4 games, 4-0.
They're still not. They're still not. Much above 500 since the trade.
You sent me an email yesterday after the Celtics thrashed the Rockets, saying that the Rockets were going to have a 22-game win streak and then not make the playoffs.
I'm just saying it's not a crazy thing to say, is it?
No, I agree with you. I think it's going to be the Rockets or Dallas. Although I have to say though, Denver is just heartless.
It's a shame.
They shouldn't make it.
Oh, it's so tough to me. I really like that Denver team, and I don't understand why it is that they don't win games that they're supposed to win.
How many times have they been blown out this year by 20 points? It's at least 10.
An egregious and unacceptable number.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens tonight because, and I'm saying tonight as on Wednesday night, they go into Philly tonight. Yeah. Iverson's return. If they blow that game.
Well, they gave up 136 points to the Pistons last night. Wasn't that it? Or 130?
Yeah.
Something like that?
The Nuggets, number. It's funny. The Nuggets are straight out of the 80s.
They really are.
It's like the 80s Nuggets team that we used to follow with Dan Issel and Alex English. Just these wild scores, and they don't play defense. They don't care.
They scored 168 points on Sunday, didn't they?
Yeah, they beat Seattle by 55 or something. PJ Carlissimo really, when we're going to look back on this, one of the biggest turd sandwiches ever served to a city.
I don't know. I don't.
PJ Carlissimo.
I don't lay it on his feet. He was.
What are you talking about?
In an impossible situation.
Whole teams quit on them.
I don't have any love for PJ, and I don't know whether anything about sort of his fitness as a head coach. But this was not the right kind of situation to be judging a head coach on.
All right, let me ask you this: why is Kevin Durant playing shooting guard?
Well, because they're putting him at a position where that's going to maximize his touches, because apparently that's the strategy.
That's ridiculous.
I don't disagree, but I'm just saying.
They should have gone small and played him at power forward. That was always the move with him.
That would be the strategy if you had like a view and vision of the team, but they're still 2 or 3 years away from being anywhere close to fulfilling the vision.
It does not help does not help Kevin Durant's career one iota to be playing shooting guard when he's not going to be playing that position in 5 years. That does not help him.
I don't know about that.
I get very defensive about Durant. I feel like he's like a family member.
I know, you're very protective.
I am. I'm very protective. It bothers me that Luis Scola is going to win the Rookie of the Year, and he's like 35 years old. It looks like he's out of that, like Andre the Giant Gonzalez, George Mirasan.
I just don't understand the haircut.
It's scary.
Why is it that the foreign guys have such bad hair?
It's like it's a great question. Like, Radmanovich. Remember when he had that poodle do that?
Right.
Yeah.
And even Vucevic or whatever. Anytime you have to like wear a head thing to keep your hair back. I'm meaning for the white guys I'm talking about now.
The Vucevic thing, Vucevic, he's the one guy I just can't say. He turns me into Bob Cousy.
Right.
I'm shocked by how good he is.
Look, I mean, for a lot of these Laker guys, I really liked Luke Walton on Sunday. I thought Luke looked fantastic. All these guys have really gotten an excellent trial by fire the last couple of years. Yeah. And the amount of time that this sort of second unit for the Lakers, just sheer minutes played and the responsibility that's been laid on them, I think it's really paying off.
Do you know why?
Why?
Because Phil Jackson makes like $10 million a year, and he knows that he can afford to squander some games and play these guys and give them the minutes.
Yep.
Whereas somebody like D'Antoni, or even like Doc Rivers, who plays Big Baby just because they really had nobody else.
Yep.
But he had the confidence to throw those guys in, and now those guys have responded. Whereas like D'Antoni, how does he not play DJ Strawberry this year?
Yeah, it's really weird.
He should have played 15 minutes a game, made all his mistakes, and now he'd be this emerging defensive stopper for them. Instead, he's buried. He's not going to play in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's right.
But I think the way Jackson's handled that team, and also I think it speaks to the Kobe MVP campaign that that's probably the best 1 through 10 team in the league, other than now the Celtics. Now that we have Cassell.
Yeah.
But Kobe compared to Chris Paul, like Chris Paul. Yeah, their sixth man is Gennaro Pargo.
Yeah, that's right.
Their seventh man is like Hilton Armstrong.
Yeah, Bonzi's in the mix.
Bonzi's now in the mix. He's cancer. And Chris Paul's just put that team on his back. I don't think it's an argument, personally.
I agree. Chris Paul is my MVP.
I thought it was neck and neck 3 weeks ago, and then the last 3 weeks, Chris Paul's. Have you seen his stats?
I know they're historical. I mean, it's like the 2010, assist thing.
Well, how about this? Since the All-Star break, which is like 14 games, he's in the 24-12-3 club.
Oh, my God.
3 steals. Shooting 44% from 3. 2 turnovers a game. He's got the 12-2 assist-turnover ratio. 6-1, actually.
Yeah. No, he's a transcendent talent.
He's having the best season by a point guard ever.
That's an argument one could make.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you could throw the Oscar Robertson seasons, but when Oscar was putting up those numbers, you have to count the statistical inflation. Everybody's numbers were 30% higher than they should have been.
Right.
I don't think there's any way Oscar averages a triple-double in a normal season. But
No, that's right.
Anyway, back to the tournament.
Sure.
So you have. It sounds like you're leaning toward who? North Carolina?
No. What, is the ultimate tourney winner?
Yeah.
No, I'm planning on somebody like, Texas or something, to be honest with you.
Well, I don't care what you're planning on. Tell me who you picked in your pool. That's why we called you.
I haven't done any of my brackets yet. I'm still working on them.
You haven't done it's Wednesday.
They're due tomorrow at noon. I have them all laid out. I like to maximize my options. It's part
I
of
wish
my
I could
strategy.
hang up on you right now.
It's the reason that I win all these things. I maximize. I take into account all the options. I cost-benefit analyze. I cross-pollinate. I do all kinds of things. You have no idea. When you win 3 or 4 of these things in a row, you call me.
You did.
I'll walk you right through it.
You have won a few. So this is great. So I have a Wednesday podcast, and you don't have a pick for me, and we just.
I'm ready to talk about the NBA.
You got to be kidding me.
I don't have a pick.
How do you not have a pick?
I don't have a pick. That's how. The tournament starts tomorrow at noon.
At gunpoint, who would you pick?
At gunpoint, I would pick. At gunpoint.
Yeah, I like the at gunpoint.
Yeah, that takes it up another notch.
Yeah, I like gunpoint with any sort of analogy.
At gunpoint.
Why do I have a feeling you're going to pick Duke?
Oh, no.
No?
No.
Okay.
I can't.
What's the process of
I grew up
elimination?
rooting for Maryland. It's completely out of the question. I can never pick Duke.
So
I could never root for Duke.
And you're not going to pick Memphis?
No, I'm not going to pick Memphis.
You're not going to pick USC?
I'm not going to pick USC.
You're not going to pick Pitt?
Not going to pick Pitt. I'm not going to pick Tennessee.
So basically it's down to Carolina or UCLA. Correct?
I'm going to say a team, and I've seen a ton of them because when you live on the East Coast, all they do is show you the Big East. I mean, I just don't want to put the whammy on them, but I like that Georgetown team.
Wow. I have them losing in round 2. That's Del Curry's son.
Well, this is the thing. It's not unreasonable.
Yeah.
Because they have a problem scoring the basketball, and it's tough for a team that can't score to win 6 straight games.
Right.
But, they're just built right. They have guys that make big plays. I love Patrick Ewing Jr. Love him. And I like the Doc Rivers son, and I like all the guards that Georgetown trots out there. And I don't like Roy Hibbert, but, he showed a little bit of what he had last year in terms of toughness in the Big East tournament. And, if he's ready to get on prime time and do some things, I'll say Georgetown.
Would there be a Patrick Ewing Jr. theory?
How would that work?
I guess he'd have to get hurt during the tournament, then they'd win without him. Which really, if that happened, I really would not be able to write a column for like 3 weeks. I'd be so blown away by that.
What if they won and he had a big hand in it, and then there would be a Patrick Ewing theory and a Patrick Ewing Jr. theory?
Or if he got injured and came back during the game, like Willis Reed or something.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, for some reason, I don't know why this is funny to me, but every time they say Patrick Ewing Jr., it makes me laugh. I don't know why. It's one of those names that all these images come flashing back of Ewing Theory, the Gold Club. I like any junior, but it's funny to hear a junior where the dad was like really actually a famous person.
Yeah, that's right. Legendary in more ways than one.
Yeah, I don't totally agree with if you're a famous person naming your son after yourself.
Well, I'm glad Michael Jordan didn't do that.
Right, and, I think that was Frank Sinatra's biggest mistake with Frank Sinatra Jr.
Yeah, that's
It's
true.
just like you're basically killing. And it's one of the reasons, I didn't name my son after myself. I didn't want him to live with that burden of trying to fill my footsteps. So who's your NBA pick? You had to pick.
San Antonio.
Really?
I know they haven't looked good, but it doesn't matter. I had a lunch with a guy today. He asked me, and he's a humongous Detroit fan.
Yeah.
Who do I like? And I said, San Antonio and Cleveland. A rematch of last year.
I'll tell you one thing. I don't guarantee many things, but the Celtics are going to make the finals.
I'm not going to argue with you. It's totally within the realm.
LeBron will win 2 games
by himself
by himself. I'll factor those in.
Okay.
And they don't have. We're just too good now. You saw it last night against Houston.
Oh, that was a systematic beatdown.
Yeah, you can't beat the Celtics now with like one good guy and ball movement and a bunch of role players. Like, it's just not happening. The Celtics are too deep now. So the one team that could beat them is Detroit, because they could just turn it into a war. And,
yep.
And, I think there's some genuine concerns that are developing about KG as a crunch time guy, which
sure.
I won't get into because I don't want to be the turd in the punch bowl. But, in the San Antonio game, he, completely panicked in the last 2 minutes. He made 4 terrible plays.
Isn't that still a little bit of a flaw? Don't you have that
Yeah, we do.
concern in your heart?
I do.
Your team has the ball with 60 seconds left, or let's say 10 seconds left, and is down by 1. Who gets the ball?
Pierce.
And
Pierce has emerged this season as a reliable guy who knows what to do. He's become a professional basketball scorer this season. He's somebody that now he knows to get to the line.
It's a weird thing to hear you say because
he was always a scorer.
Yeah, he's been a hell of a scorer.
It's different though. Like in the San Antonio game, he had a couple big drives that I think in the past maybe he settles for a 3, maybe he tries to do a spin move turnaround. He has that mindset now where he's like, all right, we need a basket, and I'm going to get to the rim.
Well, that's the thing. See, you're just now articulating a thing that I haven't really seen with my own 2 eyes because I haven't seen the evolution of Pierce this season. But I saw him at the beginning of the year still doing turnarounds and ill-fated shots from the baseline and stuff like that with the ball inside of, the last 30 seconds. So if you're just telling me now that he's going to the rim, that's meaningful.
It's something that happened for good in January. When and I think it was the Rockets, ironically, that they were playing in a home game when we had the ball, we needed a basket, and he drove like he always did. It looked like he was going to force his typical hero complex shot in traffic, and instead he dished to somebody who was wide open for a jumper, and it was just the kind of play he'd never made before. He always wanted to take that winning shot.
Sure.
I just feel like he's gotten it. He's figured out, like, all right, I just want to win. I don't care who's the hero. I just want to make a play. If it needs to be me that gets to the rim, I'm going to do it.
Well, let me ask you this. I know it's kind of early to sort of raise this because the guy hasn't played a lot, but is Sam I Am going to factor into this?
Well, that's when we were talking about the Detroit series. The problem with this team is that I have a feeling Sam is going to be taking, and I wrote this before they picked him up. He's one of those guys who will take the biggest shot of a series. And, do I want a 30-year-old guy deciding my season, 38-year-old guy deciding my season? I'm not sure. They won the Spurs game because he made 2 25-foot shots.
Sure.
In a game, crucial game 6 in Detroit, do I trust the fact that he's going to be the guy? I don't know. I mean, he has the track record.
He does have the track record.
What if he's a little banged up? What if his back's hurting him a little? That's what worries me because from what we saw in the San Antonio game, KG wants no part of that final shot.
That is clear.
He passed up an open 12-footer to give Sam a 25-footer on the biggest play of the game. He just doesn't want to shoot.
No, that's right.
If you want to psychoanalyze it, I really don't know how many big games he's been in, KG.
Sure, that's right. Other than that Sacramento series, where he took over 1 quarter.
Yeah.
He has a whole career of, and this is not a knock on KG. I love the KG, believe me.
I love him too.
But it's a different thing that you and I are talking about right now.
Here's what I think happens. I actually think he gets so wired at the end of these games that
he psychs himself out a little bit.
It's to his detriment. He wants to win so badly, and it's happened twice now because in the first home game against Detroit, he made 2 of the dumbest plays that anybody's made on the Celtics this whole season. He fouled somebody with 31 seconds left, and we were only down 2. And in this Spurs game, I mean, there's no other way to say it. He panicked. Not only the pass to Cassell, but he gets the rebound. We're up to 5 seconds left. We have a timeout. He grabs the rebound immediately instead of letting the ball just fall and let everybody get set.
Yep.
Has nobody to pass to, doesn't call the timeout, and then throws it right to Robert Horry. Those are not a play. That's not a sequence that a superstar has. So.
No, and look, I mean, I haven't had a whole ton to root for the Wiz this season because the guys have been banged up so much, but I love this team. One of the gutsiest Wizards teams I've probably ever seen.
Yeah.
But that weekend that they beat the Celtics twice, a Saturday then Monday series, KG had the ball at the critical sort of moments at the end of both those games and showed those kind of things that you're describing right now.
Yeah,
an unwillingness to score, an inability to score, taking 4 shots, making bad passes, turnovers.
It's one of those things that I think maybe he just needs the experience of being in big games and getting used to it because I just don't think he's played in enough of them. I don't think we've already played 3 games, like the 2 Detroit games, the San Antonio game, and the Rockets game last night, he was great. But the Rockets had nobody over 6'6", so it's hard to really. But we're playing in these games all the time that are much bigger than any game he played in Minnesota, except for that one playoff run. And my concern with him is that, maybe he's the greatest complimentary player of all time.
Sure.
But is he the guy? I don't know. I feel like Pierce and Cassell are going to be taking more big shots than KG does in the playoffs.
Sure, so. And that's okay. I don't know that represents an impediment. You just need to have an answer to the question. You know what I mean? Sure, Ray's made a few big shots this year. You just need to have an answer to the question. And earlier this season, maybe even all the way up through the first half of the season, I didn't feel all that great about what the answer was. From what I'd seen, it looked like, the Pierce forced chuck-up stuff. Yeah.
Well, now it looks like our crunch time. I think Cassell's going to find a way to be in the court in these big games. So they'll probably go Rondo, Cassell, Ray Allen, Pierce, go small with KG. Yeah. And with all those guys out there, KG maybe doesn't have to score.
Sure, that's right.
But it does bother me, and this, my dad, it actually bothers him more. KG settles for that fall away a lot of times when it just seems like he could put his shoulder down and either drop step somebody or jump hook them or whatever, and he's just content to shoot those 15-footers.
Yep.
What worries me about the Celtics team is that other than when Pierce goes to the basket, they're shooting 20-footers.
No, I know.
And we've seen with Golden State. Yeah, with Golden State against Utah last year, you could shoot 20-footers, but there's going to be a series when they stop going in. So then what do you do?
Well, that's right, and that's the reason that I think this Houston team may not make the playoffs.
Yeah, I'll tell you, though, that Dallas situation is interesting because it really seems like those guys are starting to give up on their coach.
Yep. It's worrisome. Although they keep winning the games they're supposed to win. They keep beating the sub-500 teams, and I haven't sat down and looked at on the last 15 games or 16 games of the schedule, what their schedule portends, and whether they're just going to sort of walk their way in there by beating bad teams.
Hey, we actually have to go because we're at the hour limit.
Yeah, Daddy.
And my producer, Joe Mead, would have to change the podcast tape. And
let's not do that.
He gets violently mad when that happens, so I don't want to make him mad.
I don't want Joe Mead mad either.
So I'm going to let you go, and I want to thank you for your courageous NCAA pick of nobody.
Georgetown.
George, you're not going to pick Georgetown.
Hoya Saxa.
Whatever. This is terrible. I'm going to call you, though, during the tournament and get your thoughts.
I can't wait.
All right.
So I get to sign off. Whoa.
Thank you for downloading the B.S. Report with Bill Simmons.
Too much fun.
Check out more podcasts at the iTunes Music Store or at PodCenter at ESPNRadio.com.
Peace out.